Welcome back to part 2. Yep, you can see that I've got my methanol running out. So I've had this sitting running. I fired it up. There's nothing special about that. Just hit the button and turn it on. See, I've got it set at 165, and I'm at 165.2, 166. And then, and it's just going to bounce around there for a little while. I'm just going to hold it. And the reason I'm going to do that is because at 145 is where your methanol comes off. Nothing you can do about it. You can't hold it back. And believe it or not, it only comes off once. So you don't have to collect it over and over and over again on successive runs of the same stuff. And then at about 173-ish, 74, somewhere around that neighborhood, depending on your still and everything else, is when your ethanol starts to run off. So you can see it running. Now let's talk briefly about methanol. I'm going to collect the first 2 ounces. Now that's a 32-ounce jar. Pretty easy. It's be about 1/4 of an inch down there, 1/2 inch. Methanol, yes, is poisonous in large doses. Okay. We've heard the myth. The old story is, oh yeah, moonshine will make you go blind. Moonshine, it'll kill you. I don't want to poison anybody. I've heard everything. Matter of fact, I published a video on the truth about methanol. There is as much methanol. Matter of fact, there's less methanol in this still than there is in a 1/2 gallon of apple juice. Oh my goodness. Oh, and oh, by the way, look, if that was a wine, it's a mash. We only call it a mash because we're going to put it in here. But if we were going to put that in a bottle, it's now a wine. What's the difference between being a wine or being a beer? From this point, you put it in a bottle and people consume it. They drink it. The only difference in the distilling process is we're a little bit more careful. We take off the first 2 ounces because we know that there's methanol there. And we know that's what gives us a headache. And we separate that, throw it away. But we don't do it with wine or beer. But no one complains about, hey, you drink 6 beers, you'll go blind. Or you drink a bottle of wine, it'll kill you. Nothing could be further from the truth. So, I'm just about there. There's my first 2 ounces. Now what I'll do is I'll increase my temperature about 5-degree increments until I get up to my production level. Attach my parrot. Now what's the parrot do? The parrot allows me to put my proof and trail hydrometer in here, and as that tube fills up, don't drop it in there. It'll crash in the bottom. So just slowly lay it in there. And it goes all the way down. Now, as this fills up, that will start to float. It just gives me an instant indication. That's all. It just tells me what's coming out of that still by proof. I don't have to stop and, test it and go back. Oh, okay, that's what I got. I'll know instantaneously what's coming out of the still. Well, as instantaneous as you can get. And this, we'll just throw this away. That's no good. As a matter of fact, you can smell it too. Yeah, it's really high in alcohol and all those other things. So we just got to wait now. I'm going to crank up the temperature just a little bit. Up. There we go. Over. I'm going to turn it up to 175 and let it do its thing. Now, I've got the cooler with the air conditioner on the other side of the shop because it's a little noisy. I'll have that turned on. I've already got that cooled down to about 57 degrees. And I've been pumping water through this. Works perfect. I'm going to go over and turn it on again just so I can make sure I keep that cool. And every time that we come back to the video, I'll turn that off because it's a little noisy. We are in the production mode. Right now, we are, my parrot, I'm sitting at like 145 proof, which is what, 72%? we're doing well. We're doing well. Now I've got this set at 180 degrees, and you can see that it's bouncing and going. There's 180. See, it's 181, and then it drops below that. Now I've got something going on here. Now this is really a good example, and you'll notice how my proof and trail hydrometer is bobbing. What does that tell us? See, if we know the process and what's been taking place, we know what's going on inside here. Now, I've auto-tuned. I've got this thing tuned in. I've got some energy that builds up and then releases, and then builds up and releases. What does that tell us? I've got a really thick surface tension in here somehow. And this is really what will do that is I've got too much residual sugars left over in my mash itself. So I evidently did not let it ferment all the way down. I mean, can we live with it? I can live with that. It's just problematic. There it goes. See, it's just, it bobs and then it keeps going. So what you'll notice on that is if you're not using a parrot is that you'll have a spurt come out and it'll dribble a little bit and then you might get a puff. But what that is that surface tension, that energy's building up and then it releases and it goes shoots straight up the column. It transfers through that column and when it gets to the top, it's hotter than the sensor. So it shuts off and then drips back down. And then that temperature starts to go down, and when it goes below your set point, that energy starts to build up again, but it's not released right away. It starts to build, and it's building up again until all of a sudden it bursts again and it takes off. So this is what I've got going on in my kettle. And that's what's causing that to happen. I mean, see, if you understand what's going on, you can always think back through and you'll know exactly what's happening. Now, how do we correct that? Well, right now, there's no way to correct it because it's just it's happening now. So that just tells us that this is one of those runs that we've learned an important lesson. Yeah, fermentation is important. You see, each one of these steps in this process is important. So I'm going to let that keep running, and we will check back with you shortly and show you what our results are, because right now we're still at 145 proof. Well, here we are. We have my first full quart. And this thing ran 140 proof, 145 down to about, and this one was finished at about 130, so it's got a pretty good stout quart there. And that's really good off of a pot still. Now, I'm running it, my temperature's now 190, and you can see I'm at 120 proof. I'm still got a little bit of bobbing going on, so that challenge with the surface tension inside my still is still there. There's nothing I can do about it. But see, I just work myself through that. There are challenges that may come up, you know. You never know, but you should. You can see here that it's holding my 140 pretty darn solid within a half a degree right now, and that is that's the difference between having a bunch of sugar in there, because right now I have just water. So I wanted to demonstrate that for you. These are our results. Now, is there more to come? Absolutely. Because, but we've gone from the very beginning all the way through our collection, okay? So you've got it all. Now comes the aging, the flavoring, oh gosh, and all that other stuff that you can do. You know, your imagination is your only limitation. Happy distilling.